E minus 5. Good morning, Sam.
How you doing today, Linda?
I'm doing fabulous. How about you?
I'm doing very well. I think our video didn't play this morning, which who knows? So, but we put up here what does resilience look like in real life, and just we just wanted to talk about situations, things like that. But I want to put the link to your book study in the comments. You have a 4 week book club coming up starting the 22nd, I believe, right?
Yes, yes.
And you can just click on that link there, and that'll get you into signing up for the 4 week deep dive into Linda's book. But we were talking earlier about a lot of people overthink things, um, and what does resilience really look like in real life? And uh, y- 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 I don't know. I struggle a little bit this week with my puppies.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's not a matter of it's an everyday, how are you going to respond to life?
It is. And people think resilience is this big. And I think maybe because by the time you realize you're being resilient, you've built up quite a bit.
Right,
You don't just
right,
have that first little thing and go, oh, yes, I'm resilient because I figured that
yeah,
out.
right,
Um,
right,
it builds and stacks. So, and resilience is a muscle.
yeah,
The more you use it, the stronger it gets. But it doesn't mean that it's built by big things. You
mhm,
know, it starts with little things and you learn how to manage those and respond to those. So when the big things come along, it's a little bit easier. I'm not saying it's easy. There's nothing
right,
easy about the big things in life.
right,
Um, but I think we also think of resilience as a struggle in a negative
yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah,
I think
yeah,
of babies learning to crawl, learning to
yeah.
walk.
Oh yeah,
Boy,
yeah.
there is nothing that's going to stop them.
No, no. And once they get a little bit of mobility,
Yep.
and they figure out that if I do this, I can get from point A to point B and begin to explore. You know, that is just a uh, total idea of what resilience is all about. You know, I don't know about you, but I know my kids. Every one of them started to walk. You know, bruised from the coffee table.
Yep.
you know, Head first into a door, um, and we we just had the other day, grandson who is 5. Um, uh, Went outside the back door, which is a sliding glass door, came back in, closed the door, went over. I don't remember what he was doing, and then decided he wanted to go outside. Boom, right into that door. And it's like, you closed the door. And so, well, what did he do? He got up, opened the door, went out. And I
Yeah.
mean, it's as simple as that when you get right down to it. You
Yeah.
know, it's getting back up after you got knocked down for whatever reason. Whatever life's little setbacks, we have them every day. You know,
Oh, yeah.
and recognizing, I think our attitude about it is, um, I'm missing the words here, but our attitude about life is reflected in how we react to life's little setbacks, right?
So true.
And and so I mean, I um, see people every day who, they something upsets them, and they dwell on it and dwell on it and dwell and don't get back up. You know, it's just one more thing that knocked him down, and that's when victim mentality comes in. But,
Yeah.
um, if you have a victim mentality, you are not resilient.
You're not, and I think we sometimes think of resilience as being this badge of honor.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
And while it's a good thing to be resilient, let's not let's
Right,
not
right.
dwell there.
Mhm, mhm.
Learn
Yeah,
from it, add it to the toolbox,
mhm,
and then
yeah,
go on and enjoy what's coming next and not stay in that place of always having to be resilient.
yeah, yeah. So I, had a friend one time was doing some, uh, not counseling. I don't generally do that as a pastor. I'll coach a little bit but I had recommended to him to go to, a marriage counselor and, set him up with somebody good. Um, and, uh, he comes back to me and he says, "I don't know what to do." He says, I am going to have to bounce back all the time. I said, "Why is that?" "Because my wife is one of these people who always has to have a crisis." Well, that's a issue. That's a mental health issue, and so I advised him. I said, "Keep going back." I said, "You have to keep going back to the counseling. If she wants to change, she will." Right? And they're still married. I mean, this has been,
Yeah,
late 80s.
yeah,
But that type of resilience, that type of being persistent when you want something to succeed, that takes real character. It would have been easy for him to walk away.
yeah.
I mean, it just would have, and he didn't. So, uh, and they're still very happily married. So,
And anything worthwhile is worth fighting for.
yes, absolutely, absolutely.
It's just it's just what is the process that you follow
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
with what mindset, with what feeling in your heart do you do that?
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
mean, there are
Yeah.
times when probably the safest thing to do and the best thing to do is to walk away.
Right.
And sometimes we kind of, putting on our resilience badge say, I'm never going to walk away from that. And,
Hmm.
maybe you should for a little bit,
Right.
give
Right.
everybody a chance to reset and
Yeah.
reflect.
Or
You
sometimes
don't
you
want to
just need
put
to step
yourself in
back and breathe.
danger. Yeah,
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's uh, taking a step back and breathing is part of being resilient
yeah.
because you have to stop. You have to, take a breath. Um, and sometimes you just take a look at what the situation is and what you want the outcome to be or what the outcome should be, and and then move in that direction. And so that takes just some adjusting and some uh, mental acuity and to know in the situation and being able to say, yes, I want this situation to succeed, but in order for it to succeed, um, this is the change that has to be made.
Yes. And when you can step back, even just for a moment, take a couple of deep breaths, it calms the mind and allows you
Yeah,
to think clearly.
right,
And
right.
I think we are so conditioned to having to have an immediate response
Hmm.
that we jump in and we react instead of respond. And response comes from a place of calmness.
Yes.
Reaction comes from emergency, urgency. And I'm not saying that things don't have a sense of urgency, but you can approach those times of urgency, those kind of decisions, those kind of situations. It's better to approach them with calmness.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's hard to make good decisions when you're panicked
Yeah. And
because then you're making decisions from fear,
yeah,
and that usually doesn't end
that
very
doesn't
well.
end well. And you know, in my years of in leadership roles and stuff like that, and watching other leaders, um, you know, panic is common,
Yeah.
in business situations. And I always have to sit back and chuckle when I see somebody who takes a minor situation and they don't have the immediate answer for it, and then all of a sudden it's an explosion.
Yeah.
And so and that comes from not taking a step back and saying, okay, how important is this? Number one, what are some of the reasonable outcomes, and how do we go forward on here? And it's funny. Um, a lot of times you can see it coming. You have
Yeah.
a minor incident, and you have somebody who's in a leadership role, for lack of a better term, gets their panties in a wad and can't, can't see the forest for the trees,
Right.
and then you have a knee jerk reaction, and then that affects everybody, and then it just snowballs. When you have a leader who panics like that and who knee jerks and things like that, it snowballs, and it makes it bad for everybody who is in the vicinity or actually working the business at that time, because it really rolls downhill like a snowball and knocks everybody out.
It does, and there's no control.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the thing is if that's how they react to everything, even if they're in a position of leadership, that's not a leader.
Right. Yeah, you're exactly right. Right.
And again, I think we have gotten so attached to immediate gratification, immediate
Mhm,
response, immediate reaction, and also even everything turns into an emergency
mhm.
and everything is blown up out of normal proportion, you know.
Yeah.
Like I don't watch the news anymore because every little story
Mhm.
is the end of the world.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
so for the ones that are big stories, they don't seem to be big stories anymore because everything is big and this is this and
Mhm,
this is
mhm.
and
Yeah, and that doesn't matter who you're watching. It's all
no,
like
and
that.
that's just it. It doesn't matter,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I get those political texts and it's like I just remove them because
Yeah.
it doesn't matter which side they're from. Everything is a catastrophe.
Yeah.
Everything is urgent and I need you to, yes, things are in chaos right now,
Mhm.
no matter which side you're on.
Right.
But panic doesn't solve chaos.
Not at all. Not at all.
It just makes it a lot worse.
Yeah, it
Now,
does.
now maybe everybody is thriving on that living on the edge moment, but oh my God.
Yeah, and that is part of it too, because there's some adrenaline there. There's some,
Yeah.
we get all excited. We get up in arms or do whatever, and we have the what's it called, that fix in your brain,
Oh yeah.
and you know, and so, but it's funny, you say that doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on and everything else, and there's the panic and everything else. But I get newsletters from two different Congress people. Okay. And literally right next to each other when it comes to their their districts. Okay. And one is on one side of the aisle, the other is on the other side of the aisle. And their newsletters talk about the same thing from two totally different
Yeah.
mindsets. And so, and that to me, that's when the discourse has broken down. When you can't take your viewpoint and somebody else's viewpoint and have a intelligent discussion, and we could still end up disagreeing,
Yeah.
but it's to a point where everything is fever pace. Everything is, oh my God, the sky is falling. Chicken Little's making a fortune right now.
Yeah. And the thing is the reality is probably the middle of both of those
Yep.
sides.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, if it were really as bad as one side or the other said it was,
Yeah.
everything would stop, you know?
Yeah.
And if I'm going to be overwhelmed with all of that, it's not even data, it's just an
Yeah.
attack on my nervous system. I'd
Yeah.
rather it
Exactly.
be for something pleasant and exciting, something I can celebrate.
Right.
As an individual, the only thing I can do about the other things is to exercise my right to vote and to be
Oh
vocal
yeah.
when
Exactly.
I feel the need to be vocal, but there's not a whole lot I can do and they send out these surveys and I used to start filling them out. Well, they always end with a request for money. And so if
Right.
I don't
Right.
donate, then my response probably doesn't go through. So I'm
That
like,
doesn't go anywhere. Yeah.
we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. You I can't buy my way out of this. So,
Right. Yeah. When those surveys come, I look at the bottom and see if they want money, and if they do, I throw them away.
yeah,
You know, and I understand the whole process and everything there, but it's one of those the there has to be a meeting of the minds, and
yeah.
then even if you disagree, but you don't go about um, knocking people down, and
And it used to
I
be that
just
we
don't.
could do that. You know,
Yeah,
we could have that disagreement over policy without it becoming a personal attack.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah,
And unfortunately, people follow what they think their leaders are doing. And
yeah,
so
mhm,
I'm trying to get rid of the ugly.
yeah, yeah,
There's
exactly.
the ugly doesn't solve anything.
No, no, not at all. I had a very dear friend who's passed away, but we used to meet every Tuesday for coffee, and um, uh, we would. There was no topics that were off limits when we met. We both come from a conservative viewpoint, but in 2016, he was of the opinion that within a day of Trump being sworn in, the world would blow up. And so he was, very, very much for Hillary. And uh, and it got to a point. I finally said, Bill, we can't keep having coffee if you're going to be so upset over what's going on in the political arena that all you can do is go vote for who you want to vote for, unless you're going to run for office.
Right.
And fortunately, he valued the friendship more than he valued trying to convince me of his politics, right? Um, but it's funny. Most people wouldn't take the time to talk that part of it out.
No.
What's more important, the friendship or me getting you to believe the way I do?
And force negates. So
Yeah,
a lot of times the harder you are trying to change someone's mind, the more they're going to dig in
again,
because now
yep,
they think
yep,
maybe there's a reason why they don't want you to
yeah,
think the way you do and
yep,
it gets people's backs up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I
And
think in those situations, to be able to step back and say, okay, let's come to, even if it's a agree to disagree,
Right.
That's the starting point of being resilient in the relationship,
Yeah.
you know?
You
And,
can't you can't think for other people. You can't feel for other people. We have to allow people to be themselves.
yeah,
Let them be their authentic selves. And if at that point you feel that you can't get along, then find ways to
yeah,
slowly separate that interaction. But the whole thing about humanity is that we are not all the same.
yeah. Mhm. Yeah,
I mean, we're all human beings and we all have the basic structures, but even the members of my family that I grew up with, we all approach life differently.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
it's just based on our experiences, how we approach them, how we face them,
Yep.
and the other things that go on in our life around that doesn't involve everybody else in the family.
Right, right, right. Yeah, and we go our not necessarily separate ways, but as people, leave home to get married, and then the job takes them here and there, and careers and this, that, and the other. When there's been a schism in the family or in the friendship, you need to be able to come to that meeting in the middle and say, is the friendship worth more than
Right.
my opinion? And the friendship should always be worth more than your opinion. You know,
It
it's just,
should.
yeah, unless you have something, yeah. Um, I mean, I can think of a couple reasons where that may not be.
There are some areas where
Yeah,
the friendship or the relationship
yeah,
has changed enough that maybe it's not.
right.
And that and that's okay too. That's part of life.
It is part of life.
It's just how
And
do you handle
mhm.
that change and how do you make the right next steps?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And,
So
I think we've kind of lost the ability to do things with grace for someone else. Um,
yes,
you
yeah,
know, when it's time for something to be over, it doesn't have to be done nastily.
right, right, right. And that, you touched on a really big word there that most people don't even think about, and that's grace. You know, y- I don't know what you're walking through today.
Yeah,
You don't know what I'm walking through today. You know parts of it because we communicate, we talk about, what's going on in our lives and things like that. Um, but there's times when both of us, we've got something we're walking through that we don't share,
right,
you know, and the people you come across every day, you don't know what they're walking through. And um, I run into that uh, almost every day at work because most of the people I work with are my age bracket. And you
right,
think that, well, they should be retired. Some of them are working it because it is a retirement job and they just have something, they want something to do and things like that. But you don't know what they're going through. You don't
right,
know if they're working because, you know, maybe past bad financial decisions, maybe a family health situation. It could be
right,
one of hundreds of things. And they come into work one day and they're not their usual chipper self.
right.
Um, you don't know what they're walking through. And so we have to have grace for that. Um, and, uh, and, and then ask the question, you know, and honestly, if you want to know how somebody's doing, you ask the question in a better manner than that,
Yeah.
you talk to them. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's asking them how they are with it being a real how are you, not a how
yeah,
you doing, and then we'll turn your back and walk
yeah,
away before they answer.
right,
Um,
right.
and I think part of giving someone grace is not imposing.
Yeah,
Ask, you know, ask them a gentle question, and based on the response you get to that gentle question, you don't need to know the details.
Right.
This isn't fuel for the gossip chain.
Right.
It's
Right.
it's can I help you with something today?
Hmm.
And maybe the help is give me some space today.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
just
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just not I'm just not really in a talkative mood today. Great. I'll keep
Yeah.
that in mind.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't need to know why unless you want to share. I don't need to know
Right.
the details. I
Si
think
you know,
sometimes, yeah, go ahead.
there's a saying, silence is golden. Sometimes that's
Yeah.
what you need. It's just need to sit with somebody.
They just need to have the knowledge that it's okay for them
Mhm.
to be this way today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and as long as they're not a danger to themselves or others
Right.
and they can
And and
perform,
and they have to have the confidence that,
yeah,
that you are there for them and that, even sitting in silence, you're there,
yes.
you're present. So Linda, this book club on resilience is starting next Wednesday,
Starts
the
on the
22nd.
22nd. Yep,
So 7
7
p.m.
p.m. 7 p.m.
Eastern.
Eastern. Yep.
Okay. What's it, about an hour, hour and a half?
It's about an hour.
Okay.
And
And
we're
are you
building
going to,
community.
yep, that's what I was going to ask, if you're building a community around it.
There's community around it. If you sign up and you can't make all four of them, that's fine. They'll be recorded. There'll be areas for you to have the discussion, you know, chime in. Everything will be recorded as well. But again, the important part to me is that people don't feel that they're alone in their struggles.
Yes.
And, I know logically you can sit down and say, well, I know I'm not the only person on the planet
Right.
that feels this way. But emotionally and mentally, many times we feel very, very, very secluded. I know I did.
Yeah.
I also
Yeah.
know that it wasn't true, but that
Yeah.
was the story I told myself.
That was, yeah, I know that.
And
Yeah. Been there.
I also know that there are many people who did not have the blessings that I had.
Yeah.
So this is part of my returning the blessings and paying it forward, is trying to be that space where people can connect together and just say, even if they don't want to share what's going on, they can say, oh, look, I'm
Yeah.
not the only one.
Right. Exactly. And sometimes that's more important than anything else.
Yeah.
Is when that light bulb comes on in a person's mind. I'm not the only one struggling with this. I'm not the only one. Yeah, it's very, very important. So the book club starts on the 22nd of July, 7
Yep.
p.m. Eastern time. The link to join that is in the comments. And I look forward to it, Linda. We're going to start next Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Yep.
22nd.
I'm
Um,
I'm excited. It'll be plus I get to this way I get to hear people's ideas and
yep,
responses to what I put together so that I know how to make it better for next time.
there you go. So Linda, it's been fun today. We'll see you all next week, twice next Wednesday, once for
Yep.
our show and then once for Linda's book club. So thanks again, Linda. This has been good today.
It's been great. Have a good one, everyone.
Yep. Be blessed.